So this way, the lunar calendar, which consisted of 354 days, was reconciled with the solar calendar, which consists of 365 days. So by means of fixing their lunar calendar, they did not have to depart from the solar calendar of Gregorian calendar, and this way their holidays also came in some fixed seasons. The pre-Islamic Arabs, they also liked this idea, and they wanted to have some of their specific holidays, especially Hajj for instance, on specific seasons. So if the Hajj is performed during the summer, or during the springtime, or maybe during the autumn time, these seasons are good for traveling and good for business. So people can come from Jerusalem, from Syria, from those areas which can be blocked during the winter season. So whenever Hajj came during the winter months, it decreased the business as well as the participation of the Hujjaj. So the pre-Islamic Jahili Mushrikeen, they started calculating, and those calculations were not astronomical calculation as we have got them in a precise, accurate fashion, but they were just multiplication, mathematical multiplication, adding 3 days here or 13 days here or a 13 month after 2 or 3 years, so that the Ramadan or the Hajj will always come in a specific season which is suitable for traveling, suitable for business. So this way, the month will be called Zil Hajjah, the month of Hajj. But in reality, that will be the month of either Muharramul Haram, sometimes Safar, sometimes Rajab, and sometimes different months of the year. So as all of us we know that the Hajj is connected with sacred timings. When those sacred timings are compromised, then there is a problem with Hajj itself. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed the Prophet ﷺ to connect the sacred timing with the sacred moments and with the sacred movements of the natural celestial phenomena like the moon and the sun. Now we know that our awqat salah, our timings of 5 daily prayers, are connected with the movement of the sun, and our months are connected with the movement of the moon. So sighting the new moon will determine that this is the exact timing of the sacred act of ibadah. So therefore, the Prophet ﷺ insisted that instead of following the intercalated, calculated calendars, Muslims must look at the moon and start the month, and must look at the moon and stop the month. But sighting the new moon is just a wasila, is just a method of determining the sacred timing. And the wasila in itself is not obligatory or sacred, because had it been just the only way to determine the month of Ramadan, then the Prophet ﷺ would have not given us any other option. But he gave us the option of either eye sighting or completing 30 days, or in the third option he also told us estimate, faqdurula, estimate or calculate. Keeping in view this background, let's talk about the moon sighting, whether or not it is obligatory, or whether or not the month of Ramadan can be started without sighting the moon. Number one, we should not forget that the goal of the month of Ramadan is not the moon sighting. The goal of the month of Ramadan is fasting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. That when the sacred month of Ramadan comes, then you start the fasting. So fasting is the objective of the month of Ramadan, and the determination of that ibadah is done bihulul shahr Ramadan, when the month of Ramadan is ascertained to be there. Now there is a method to determine the month of Ramadan, and eye sighting is one of the methods of the month of Ramadan. So therefore, we should not confuse the method or the wasila with the ghaya or with the goal of the month of Ramadan. We should focus more upon the fasting, upon the sacred timings, and we should not fight about the moon sighting and about all of these issues which are nowadays taking most of our time rather than spiritual preparation or focusing upon the lesson of the month of Ramadan or the lessons of fasting. But I would like to explain over here that the sighting of the moon somehow is connected only with the 29th day of Shaban, and it is not connected with the 30th day of Shaban. Let me explain what I'm trying to say. If we look at the hadith, Sumu liru'yati wa aftiru liru'yati, start the fasting by sighting it and stop the fasting by sighting it. This part of the hadith can be applied only on the 29th day of Shaban or the 29th day of Ramadanul Mubarak. Because if we go out and we are unable to sight the moon on 29th day of Shaban, we know tomorrow is the 30th day of Shaban and the month cannot go beyond 30 days. And if it is not seen tonight, tomorrow the moon must be in the horizon. That's where the religious authorities or ulama or the governments, they make the announcement on the 29th day of Shaban that the moon was not sighted tonight. Therefore, tomorrow is not the month of Ramadan, but the day after tomorrow will be the month of Ramadan. No scholar, no authorities have ever required any Muslim to go out on the 30th day of Shaban and look at the moon and sight the moon and then start the month of Ramadan. Because they know that if the moon was not seen on 29th, there is no way the moon will not be in the horizon on the 30th day. It is definitely certain that tomorrow the moon will be in the horizon, could be seen and could not be seen. Whether it is seen or not seen, that's not an issue, because it is the certainty that the new moon is in the horizon which will make the person start the month of Ramadan. So therefore, they make the announcement on 29th of Shaban that Ramadan will not be tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow will be Ramadan. Likewise, on the 29th day of Ramadanul Mubarak, the announcement is made that tonight the moon was not seen, so Eid is not tomorrow, but the Eid will be the day after tomorrow. Because tonight we have attained certainty that tomorrow the new moon definitely will be in the horizon. So therefore, if the certainty takes place that the new moon is there, there's no need for anybody to go and sight it. Announcement can be made based upon certainty. Yes, it still will be sunnah that you go out on the 30th day and look at the moon, but it will not be a requirement, it will not be a prerequisite to make the announcement of Ramadan al-Mubarak or Eid al-Fitr. That tells us that sighting in itself is not required. What is required by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to connect the acts of ibadah with sacred time and to use our whatever method is available to us, which will make us certain that the new moon is in the horizon or the new moon is in sighting position. That is the certainty which the Prophet ﷺ requires us. حَتَّى يَدْخُلَ فِي الْعِبَادَةِ بِالْيَقِينِ وَيَخْرُجَ مِنْهَا بِيَقِينِ. As some of the scholars, Abu Bakr al-Jassas has said it, that the intention of sighting is so that we can certainly determine that this is the time for ibadah, and we can certainly determine that this is the time getting out of ibadah. So the certainty is the goal and not the sighting itself. Now, some of the scholars, they say that if sighting is not done on 29th day of Shaban, then the other part of the hadith in which Rasulullah ﷺ said that complete 30 days will come into effect. So therefore we are following the two methods established by Rasulullah sallam in the hadith, that either sighting or completion. But I will argue that look into all of those ahadith. There is a condition. The Prophet ﷺ said, sight it and start. Sight it and stop the month of fasting. But if it is cloudy, فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ, if it is cloudy, then count 30 days. So this condition, because the shart and mashrut, they are always together. But suppose if on 29th day of Sha'ban or 29th day of Ramadan al-Mubarak, the sky was clear, there was no cloudy weather, there were no obscurities, and Muslims could not see it on the evening of 29th Sha'ban or 29th Ramadan, then wouldn't the hadith require them to see it even on the 30 days? Because now the condition of فَإِنْ غُمَّ is not complete. There is no cloudy weather, there are no obscurities, the weather is clear, the sky is clear, but it has not been seen on 29th. So then wouldn't the hadith require sumu li ru'yati wa aftiru li ru'yati? Start fasting even on 30th and stop fasting even on 30th by sighting it, because it is not cloudy. Because فَإِنْ غُمَّ comes only into place when it is cloudy. And also those scholars who require that the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, لَا تَصُومُوا حَتَّى تَرَوْا الْهِلَالِ, that do not start the month until you see the moon. وَلَا تُفْتِرُوا حَتَّى تَرَوْا, and do not stop the month until you see. So now this portion or this clause of the hadith will apply on 29th as well as on 30th of the month. The exception will be only if it is cloudy on 29th and it has not been seen because of the cloudy weather. Because فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَاقْدُرُوا or فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَعُدُّوا, condition will come only if it is cloudy. But my brothers and sisters, look into the reality. On 29th, we try to see it. If it is not seen, whether cloudy or not, the announcement is made that tomorrow will not be Eid or tomorrow will not be Ramadan, but the day after tomorrow will be Ramadan.